Hey, it's Darryl Syms, and in today's video I'm going to give you a handful of tips that are going to help with your legato playing, and I'm also going to give you a nice idea on where to start when it comes to playing faster legato lines. So let's roll the intro and stick 2 minutes on the clock. Alrighty, so there are 3 tips in specific that I want to cover in this video. Let's start with tip number 1, and that's looking at the right hand here. So with the right hand, you always want to be as light as possible through legato phrases. So if, for example, we pick a D major scale, 3 notes per string kind of thing, I want you to try this, and I want you to pick as lightly as possible with your downs and your upstrokes. So barely even touching the strings, very light pick attack there. And you see as I ascended the scale there, I actually upstroked that whole lot. And that was unintentional. Sometimes I upstroke everything, sometimes I'll alternate pick. It really depends on the context that I'm playing, but whatever you do, just make sure you're as light as possible with the pick. Now tip number 2 that I want to highlight is based on the left hand here. Similarly to the right hand, you want to be as light as you can with the left hand. So I'm going to talk about tension here. You don't want to be very tense, and you don't want to be squeezing those strings really tight. You want to be squeezing them as light as possible. You should be able to do this kind of thing all day long and not get fatigued at all. And this is what a lot of players tend to struggle with. They'll play some legato phrases, and after playing a few strings, their wrist and their hand will get very fatigued. And that's simply because they have a lot of tension in their hand. So a great thing for you to try is actually to start by playing a ghost note on the string. So we can play the 5th fret here. Obviously it sounds muted. And we're just going to gradually squeeze until you can actually hear a note pop through. Now it's going to sound crap at first, so you need to squeeze a little bit tighter than that bum note. So you want, there's the crap bit. There we go, that's a perfect tension right there. I'm barely even squeezing. And you want to obviously train that with all of your fingers. And once you get comfortable with that, as I said, in practical terms, we could take a phrase like this. And you should be able to do that all day long without getting tired. And in fact, that phrase is a great phrase for you to learn. If you don't know this already, let's slow this down. So we're going to pull off from 8 to 5, and then hammer on 7, hammer on 8, pull off 7, pull off 5. So the next thing that I want to share with you, tip number 3, would be muting the strings that you're not playing. So with the last example where we played the bottom string, we need to mute every other string that you're not playing. And in order to do that, I'm using the right hand here, and I'm just muting the top strings with the palm. So you don't hear them. Ideally, you should be able to go. So you see I played all 6 strings there, and the top 5 sounded muted, and the bottom one was the only one that popped through. And that's all thanks to the palm on the right hand there. Now if you were playing one of the upper strings, let's choose the G string. We played the 5th fret. You want to do a similar thing. You want to mute the top strings with the right hand and the bottom strings with the arch in your first finger. So you see I'm muting those bottom 2 strings and only allowing that G string to come through. Because when you're hitting the fretboard hard with some legato phrases, sometimes the pressure of your hits will cause other strings to ring out. And the only way you can stop that is through control of your right hand and your left hand. Now those are the key tips that I want to mention. Specifically, you need to be as light as possible with both hands. Now let me give you maybe 1 or 2 ideas to play with here that are going to help you with your fast legato playing. So we're going to take that phrase that we did earlier, and providing you know your 3 notes per string scales across the neck quite well, you can use that over these 3 notes per string shapes. So for example, we could go, and if you play that fast, so with that phrase there, I just picked the first note and let the left hand do all of the work. Now that idea that I did across 1 string, you can obviously move to other strings and other shapes and patterns on the neck. Let's try just 1 more. This one's my favorite actually. It's really nice and easy. We're just going to go up and then down like so. So we've got, and then we would do the same on the next shape. and then the next one. Now obviously I wouldn't pick all of that, so you would have, so I'm sliding between the patterns there. And fast gives the illusion that it's a really fast lick, but it's really not too bad. It's kind of just like if you had a desk and you were just doing that kind of thing. So there's a few tips and a couple ideas that you can play with. If you have any of your own tips, then feel free to leave them in the comments section below. That's all from me today. I will see you in the next video.